Joining me now by phone is Peter Kovacs, editor of The Advocate. Peter, when you see what we have seen, that devastation, street after street, every home, all of their goods out on the street, you just wonder why it took the president so long.
Well, I don't think the question is what happened in the past. I think the question is where we're going from here. And it was good to see the president seem to support the idea that this is a disaster of the magnitude that's going to require special congressional legislation.
Right. But Peter, I have to disagree with you on one thing, because it does matter what happened in the past so that it doesn't happen again in the future. I mean, a president can draw attention to a crisis. President Obama realized that after Sandy, right before the election in 2012. Republican governor Chris Christie welcomed President Obama, and Christie was criticized for it. But I mean, you guys wrote an editorial last week saying, vacation or not, a hurting Louisiana needs you now, President Obama. So is all forgiven?
Well, we're glad to have the president here. We were glad to have Donald Trump here. Louisiana, I mean, this is maybe your business model requires you to make this into a conflict. We're the people of Louisiana are the victims in this.
Yeah.
And, we're glad to see that the president has come and helped us.
Well,
and we were glad that Donald
working.
Trump came and helped us.
I'm glad it's working now. And again, the reason I think what happened is important is because it doesn't happen again. If you correct what happened and show the next future leader why it's important for the president to be there as soon as he's happened, maybe they will be, whoever that next president is. Now, lots of federal money is coming your way. Where is it going? Where is it most needed?
Well, in the immediate aftermath, there's relief for people to get food. There were some substantial lines, 5 hours in some places, to get those benefits. There is emergency aid. One difference between Barack Obama and George Bush is that FEMA is well run compared to what it was during Katrina. And I, came here from New Orleans, and I survived Katrina and covered Katrina. And the differences in FEMA are noticeable and are even being credited by Republicans. And so the initial aid is administered by FEMA, but ultimately you're going to need help for all these people who flooded and were not made to buy flood insurance because the government didn't view them as being in a floodplain.
Yeah.
And if you expect someone to, if someone has flood insurance and you want them to repair their house, they need to know that the guy next door who doesn't have flood insurance is also going to repair his house.
Sure.
Otherwise, you have, neighborhoods that are half abandoned, and you have some of that in New Orleans from Katrina, and it's not fair to the people who work to come back.
Well, Peter, another thing that we hope doesn't repeat with Katrina was what happened to some of the money, how it was misused. Not only was FEMA in worse shape, but you had a mayor who's now in jail guiding a lot of that money, not always to the best places.
Mayor Nagin's in jail. I think he's in for 10 years, and he's probably, a year into it. The amount of money that was given out was enormous and very generous. And inevitably, when the government spends a lot of money, there's a share of it that's wasted. The aid that was given to individual homeowners, is not implicated in the Nagin scandal. To the extent that homeowners didn't honor the conditions on which they received aid, which was a problem. It was poor people who discovered that they could not rebuild their home for the amount of money that was given, and so therefore they didn't, or people who were ripped off by their contractors, or I think it was people who took the money innocently and discovered that they could not fulfill what they agreed to.
Well, I'm glad to hear that things are finally working as they should. Peter Kovacs, The Advocate editor, thank you very much, Peter. Appreciate it. Best of luck to you.